Okay. Another
I
preview.
just feel so inadequate because of your production values. It
Oh,
makes
really?
yeah, it just puts me to shame. I leave here every day just in tears, wondering why I can't have production values like yours.
That's funny. Well, mine aren't that great.
No, they are. They
They are.
are. They are. You're the best at it. I love it. I love it. I want a good introduction. I want a countdown. Oh, I know I can do the countdown, but I like everything you do after that.
You like everything I do after that. All right.
Yeah, I like
That's
everything you do after that.
the so we got a big week here. This week for UConn is the week where we're gonna get rolling.
Well, yeah, this is the start of what should be a big homestand that is very necessary at this moment. With 5 home games coming up, the 28th, I believe they're honoring the captains.
This week or next week?
It's next week.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's the one. It's the one we didn't get invited to. So
Well, we're not. Yeah, since we were, I guess, good enough people to be captains, we don't get
we were
invited.
captains. We didn't get the invite. And then they are doing the Motor City Bowl, I believe, the 12th. I have to double check that. They're honoring the team from the Motor City Bowl, which is funny because, as you know, I had our show with Tyler King, and Tyler King knew nothing about it. And Tyler King was defensive MVP of the Motor City Bowl. I would think it would be important for the defensive MVP to know that he's being honored on October
He doesn't
12th.
know it, huh?
He had no idea.
That's crazy.
Well, the Coach B must not have his updated email. I don't know. That's the only conclusion I could come to. But yeah. So it is a big weekend, and I think it could be the start of, like you said, if they don't rip off 4 games here,
Right.
we're gonna have some trouble. But
But
if they're
after last week's performance, I think that I would expect our go off what Florida Atlantic has done. Their offense has not been very good.
no,
Florida
and
Atlantic hasn't really scored a lot of points. Their quarterback is throwing more picks.
they're playing 3 quarterback or no, their quarterback has been awful. I mean, he's been awful in all 3 games.
Yeah, he's got 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, completion percentage 58%. Their running backs, one guy's rushed for 141. Another guy has run. I mean, the quarterback's rushed for 141. The running backs rushed for 178 and 3 touchdowns. The running back's pretty solid player,
Yes.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
they have another running back that has 110 yards. But
Yeah,
they got
I mean, defensively though, I don't think they're
no.
anything special. They don't really. I mean, they bring some pressure. They try to get after the quarterback, but it's been a battle. I mean,
They're ranked 58th in FBS, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, our defense is ranked 25th worst in FBS. So that's a concern. I didn't know that. It's concerned.
That would be
like 100 and something. Our offense is 68th ranked, which is 30 points per contest.
Well, it's skewed because of the 63-point performance against Merrimack. But I get concerned with the passing game just because I know Evers was back, and they probably tried to control what he was doing, but 135 yards passing isn't enough. I mean, they gotta. I like the balanced attack. I think they 220, 230 I don't think they should throw the ball more than 30 times a game. I liked, we talked about Cam Edwards. They fed him, and he averaged 5 yards a carry. He scored a touchdown, and they had that big third quarter when they could have turned it in, and they didn't, which was a big positive to see. But just structurally, their offense concerns me down the road, not now. It concerns me down the road when you get into late October and November at Rentschler Field, and it's windy and it's cold, and a lot of the spread stuff and the RPOs are very, very difficult to execute. And they don't get a ton of chunk plays other than with Skylar Bell. I'd like to see some other guys step up. That TJ Sheffield, you remember, he was the transfer,
right?
I think they should be getting more out of him.
And obviously, yeah, I think that's the bigger thing that they've got to start to figure out is these guys who are the newer guys, which guys are going to be able to produce. What's interesting is, so Florida Atlantic is -2, so UConn's getting 2 here and a half.
Yeah, UConn's the favorite from everything I've seen.
UConn is the favorite.
Yeah, UConn is the favorite. Yeah, they're minus. It was -3.5 when I first looked at it. You said you think it's down to -2.5.
Well, it said FAU -2.5, so that makes me think.
Oh, it did. Oh,
yeah, it's flipped.
Oh, Jesus, maybe I read it wrong.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
That wouldn't be first. Okay.
See, the money line is. Oh no, I'm wrong. Wait, money line. No, I get the spread. UConn is 1.5 favorite. Sorry, 1.5. UConn's 1.5 favorite. I guess that depends on where you go, but
okay.
BetMGM has UConn 1.5 favorite.
Which I think is accurate. I mean, it could go either way.
And over under is 45.5.
I would take the under. I would definitely take the under. I don't see offensive firepower on either side to
You don't think so?
I mean, 45.5. Yeah, I guess you could take the over.
I mean, UConn
24 and 24. Yeah, you're probably right.
Or 47, right?
You're probably right. I mean, if they both score 24 points, you're there. So
I think the issue is Florida Atlantic hasn't scored much.
They haven't. Yes.
First 2 games. So Florida Atlantic's first 2 games, Florida Atlantic.
A lot of turnovers.
They scored 10 against Michigan State. They scored 7 against Army, and then 38 against FIU.
FIU, which is the rivalry game, I know. Yeah.
And FIU is, let me see how good they are. FIU killed Central Michigan, got beat by obviously Florida Atlantic, and got killed by Indiana.
Yeah, I checked 2 other sites, and they both say it's UConn -1.5. So I think that's what you go with. I think that's accurate, and I think it's a fair reading and assessment. And Vegas usually doesn't get it wrong. they tend to be on point with their analysis. I went back and I watched a little bit more of the game on ESPN Plus. Now that I know how to find it, and I it's disappointing. Just the second half, they had opportunities where they could have really built on the lead that they had once they got it. They had a couple drives that stalled out. They even had field position where they had pinned Duke back, and Duke went on a drive and scored. And it just they had chances in the fourth quarter. Like it just after the momentum shifted in the third quarter, they were pouring it on. And I think that they could have easily built on that. And they didn't take advantage of it. I mean, to get the ball and to go out and to set the tone, being down 17-0, that was great to see. So I just hope that continues. It's just going to be a smorgasbord of what they're going to do offensively with the run game. I liked a lot of the stuff they did. I would love to see a little one back power in there. I like their tight end. He's from Germany. So I love the Germans because I got to play over there. So the Germans, they're tough. They're tough. They're physical. The dude is like 6'6", and he's a big dude. So I would just run old school power. And they ran speed option a couple times, and I understand why, because getting Cam on the edge, he's got the speed to take it to another level.
Right. Well, Cam's going to be the guy they're going to have to ride. They got to ride Cam. They got to beat him until now. If Florida Atlantic's defense, which is decent, stops him or shuts him down, the QB's got to be able to run a little bit here, but obviously, could be sensitive because he just came back from a concussion, right?
Well, that's what I thought too. But they were doing design runs for him, and that scared the hell out of me. They got a guy just out of concussion protocol, and they're running QB sweeps with him, and I was like, you can't take a chance with this guy. I mean, you obviously invested quite a bit in him. And if he goes into concussion protocol again and you lose him for 4 games, we don't know for sure about Joe coming in and leading the charge. He did a great job against Merrimack, but against a school like Florida Atlantic, you can't be sure. I don't have a problem with it, but they invested in Evers. They invested in Sheffield. They invested in Skylar Bell, all these guys, and they have to get their money's worth out of them. That's just what I am concerned about.
Right.
And then I
on standby, so
yeah, he is
on standby.
He is, and defense, and the one thing that kind of concerned me was when Duke went fast, Uconn they struggled to get aligned. They were misaligned. They were misaligned quite often. Like you could see them trying to get set up, and they didn't know where the fourth rusher was coming from. And there were a couple times there were, to the boundary, there was a 3 technique and nobody covering the tight end, and then just the corner that I saw. And that scared me. So as you know, if you go fast, that really eliminates your calls as a DC. Correct. You gotta you're basic with what you can do. You can blitz, but it's base stuff.
And you're limited substitution wise as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't see FAU. I don't know if they do a lot of up tempo stuff. I would like to just check their time of possession and just see how they've been doing there. Yeah, I mean, 18 points a game. Wow. Yeah, I mean, 204 plays in 3 games is not a lot. That's not a lot at all. I was just looking for TOP and I can't see it anywhere. Oh, here it is. I mean, it's their time possession, 29 minutes. I mean, that's nothing. They're averaging 29 minutes a game. Well, no, actually, it's a 60-minute game, right? So I guess
Yeah.
that's okay. That's okay. All right. So they do possess the ball. So they're not a team that's going to be up tempo. They're not a team that runs a lot of plays. So that I think that's a good matchup for UConn. UConn, when they did go into tempo mode, I thought they did some good things. But I think it's important again. I know that I said this before and I ate my words for it, but I think that they need to start fast. And if you have the confidence, you're at home, it's a night game, take the ball. Take
Yeah.
the ball. Take the ball. You're playing against a defense that is, or an offense that is not, they don't have a ton of firepower that we should be able to match up with. And I would take the ball and shut them down first possession of the second half and go from there. That's my thing. I want them to start fast. I don't want them to get into a hole that they have to dig themselves out of, like they did at Maryland, like they did last week at Duke. So I think starting fast would be like it, when you're putting together a game plan, we got to start fast, however that may be. But I definitely think this is a matchup that they can and should win. I think they have more talent. I think they have a much more talented quarterback. Either way, who they go with, as long as Evers is good, great. I think he's the guy. I saw him just make some really great throws. He really makes some great throws. I think he's good, like we talked about on money line. God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
Do you say that you're born again? I keep forgetting you're Jewish too, so I don't know if I'm supposed to say God bless you or not.
Yeah, of course. I'm born again.
Okay. That's right. You're born again. That's right.
You guys say God bless you if it was a Jewish person?
I didn't know if you could say God bless you if it was a Jewish person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're nuts.
I know I am. I know.
Oh man, that's funny. So yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is that they got to come out fast. They got to be willing to compete. They've got to be able to find a way to get to the quarterback on defense.
Yes.
Quarterback is not, if you get pressure on him, this is where the 3-3-5 should be well suited.
Yes.
For this type of team, because
it's a perfect fit.
They're okay running team. They're not phenomenal. They're not a phenomenal passing team, so you can really get after them, take your chances. And I think that's the thing that UConn has to really do. I think offensively, try to run it down their throats. I don't, they're decent against the run, this team, but they've got to be able to run the ball against them, and start to really kind of move it from that standpoint. Just like they did a good job of it last week. They got to do a better job of it this week.
Yes. Yeah, and they did it against a good Duke team. So if they performed well against a good Duke team, and even if you look at it, Cam Edwards, I mean, I think he only got 15 carries. So yeah, so I mean, he got 100 yards on 15 carries, which is impressive. I think they can feed him more. I don't know necessarily if that's what they want, because the freshmen look good. The freshman running back they had, Robinson, has looked good.
Right.
He's had 19 carries for 140 yards. he's averaging 7.4 yards a carry, and he had a 48-yard touchdown. That's his long. So
Right.
I mean, they got a stable of running backs. I mean, even Mel Brown, he's had 24 carries, 96 yards. He's averaging 4 yards a carry. There is not anyone on the roster that's averaging under 4 yards a carry. So that's good to see. That's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only thing that concerns me, Dave, is Evers' completion percentage. If you see that, he's completing 45.7% of his passes, and he's only averaging 4.5 yards per completion. So he's really, I understand that he's taking what's there, and that's great. He's taking what's there, and he's not trying to make mistakes. I mean, he's got 2 interceptions, but he's trying to manage the offense and be the facilitator,
right?
As you said. But I think they have the horses at receivers to really do some damage. I mean, Skylar Bell, 14 catches, 300 yards, averaging 21.7 yards per catch, in the 1 touchdown. And I think Sheffield's the guy they got to get going. 7 catches, 65 yards in 3 games. I mean, that's just not enough. The tight end's the guy I like, Alex Honig from Germany. He's only got 4 catches, but it's for 49 yards. He's averaging 12 yards a catch and 2 touchdowns. So I think they have the receivers to stretch the field. I think that it's, and I know as well, it's very challenging to run good play action out of the shotgun. I'd like to see true nakeds, run hard ball outside zone to the left, slam flat with the tight end. The tight end backside slams the defensive end and then gets out in the flat. And then the quarterback has a high-low with the tight end drag and then the over route. That was one of my favorite plays.
Tight end drags are fantastic play. I mean, there was no doubt about it. The more we
or the flood. I like the flood concept.
Flood, yeah. Well, yeah, you're definitely opposite. You like flood. You like. I like mesh, but
mesh is. Listen, I would run mesh till the cows come home.
Yep.
I'm a big mesh fan. I think mesh is outstanding. Obviously, it's more effective against the man coverage, and teams run it more in the red zone. But mesh is a great concept. I've always loved mesh, and basically, at Holy Cross, we ran we were at 11 personnel mostly, and
right.
our best play was really a tight end drag. The slot receiver would run the middle dig, and then we had the 2 outside receivers run deep speed outs. And if he saw one-on-one coverage, he would take the speed out. If not, he would do the high-low with the Mike linebacker on the tight end and the dig over the middle. I always like that route combination. I like the hardball play action, keep the tight end in, 2 receiver set, and run double post. I like the double post, especially against, I can't remember if it was 1 high or 2 high at work, but the double post concept worked. And then I saw I can't remember who ran it. Somebody ran the oh shit block from the tight end on the goal line where he goes down and acts like he's on the ground, and then he runs a drag across the field and is usually wide open. I
Right.
like that one as well. I like that play action. I just think play action slows down the pass rush. I think like Frank was talking about, giving the quarterback different launch points from the pocket. You're moving the pocket around. He's launching it from different angles. So I think that's important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gives them the chance to move out of the pocket. If you watched the Jets last night, look at how good when Aaron Rodgers got outside the pocket. Did you see that game?
Yeah. Oh, wow. He looked incredible.
He looked
He
fantastic. It's amazing.
he turned back the clock a little bit.
Yeah, and he was moving pretty good too, right?
Yeah, he was. He was nimble. He was good inside the pocket, and I love that he didn't hug his coach after the second touchdown.
What was that? So what was going on there? How come he pushed him away, right?
He pushed him away.
What happened?
He said that it was only a 2-point lead. 2-point, we're only up 2 scores. It's not time to hug yet. It's not time to celebrate yet.
I like that. I like that.
They laughed about it afterwards, but he legitimately gave him a shove away and said, "Yeah, we're only up 2 scores. I'm not hugging you yet. It's not time. It's not time." But I would try to hug you after 2 scores, just so you know. But yeah, well, it was great to see. It was great to see. I still, I mean, I was looking at some of the other schedules. I don't know what's going to happen to Florida State. I mean, Florida State is just decimated, and they obviously are not happy with their coach. I don't think they'd make a move on Norville, but when you win the ACC, and you don't get into a BCS game or the playoffs, so to speak. And then you start off 0-2. I mean, they're really up against it as well. So I was shocked to see that, and it's going to be interesting to see, because everyone's going after them, because they're the ones that started them, and Clemson are the ones that started the lawsuit to get out of the ACC. So I think everyone's taking it out on them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's what's. Clemson is in. They're not the Clemson of 5-6 years.
No, and they're still ranked. They're still ranked, 21st. They got NC State. They're 18.5-point favorites. That's why in our area, upstate New York, everyone has been talking about Syracuse. Everyone thinks that Syracuse has a legitimate shot at the ACC because they don't play Clemson or Florida State. Now they do play North Carolina.
Okay.
I don't know. I was just checking to see what North Carolina's record was, and then they do play Duke, and then from there, I mean, it's anyone's game. But Pratt and Whitney Stadium. Who's Pratt and Whitney?
Pratt and Whitney. They're like a government contractor, I believe. Is that who?
Oh, okay.
Is that who is Uconn's?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got naming rights to Rentschler Field. It's Pratt and Whitney Rentschler Field, or Pratt and Whitney Stadium at Rentschler Field, something like that. Wow, I didn't know that. That's impressive. That's good. Good for them. Good for them. I'm sure they got a nice little payday out of that. And I'm looking at the other games. That's the one. Miami's the team. That's the one that they're worried about with Syracuse. Syracuse is going to have to go through Miami to win the ACC. And I didn't know how Virginia Tech was doing, but it just this conference realignment is it's just a disaster. It's so hard to follow. It was good to see that Pitt won, and Pitt is I think Pitt's 3-0 now. It was good to see Deion get a win.
Yeah.
Deion beat.
You're a Deion fan?
No, I'm not a Deion fan. No, I admire his confidence and moxie, and I admire that he thinks he's better than everyone. I think that's great. So, but I watch his games. You know more than anyone. If you are hated, people watch you more.
That's true. That's a good point. Well, you know what I thought was crazy? Like Deion's this past week, Deion went after the media.
He always goes after.
like getting mad at them. He's saying that the people are jealous because the players are making a lot of money. Like
yes, he did say that.
Seemed crazy to me. That seemed like I don't know why. I mean, he's always just going after the media. Period. So that's kind of his like thing.
He did come out with that. You're absolutely right.
What did you think about the Shador thing when Shador, the quarterback from Colorado State, who they claimed was talking smack against him one week, he came up to shake his hand, basically say good game, and Shador was like, "Oh, you're not talking now." Like I thought that was game's over, dude. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh, I would be the same way." I'd be like, "I won, dude. Yeah, great game. We smoked you." Like, shake his hand. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you gain from that?
Well, I don't know that Shador may have been taught the best sportsmanship ethics throughout his life.
I agree with that.
And he's obviously looking ahead to the NFL and possibly being the first quarterback taken in the draft,
right?
Which I don't know is the wisest move. After
would you take him?
No, probably not.
Do you think he's not mature? Like, even though his skill sets are very good, do you think he's not mature?
I think he's small.
I think he's short. Small?
I think he's short. I think when I see him, I think Bryce Young.
I think he's bigger than Bryce Young. Bryce Young is only like 5'10".
So Shador is 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah, I am curious how tall he is. It's a good question.
I wouldn't take him because I would worry just about.
See, he's 6'2".
Oh, he is 6'2". Okay,
tall enough.
Yeah, if he's 6'2", then I would take him. I wouldn't take him. I don't know that I'd take him as the first quarterback off the board, but it's not the best quarterback class. So maybe he will be the first quarterback taken. And I know he's been I don't know if this is his 5th year or 6th year or whatever, but he was at Jackson State and then here, and then Travis Hunter is the guy that keeps everyone alive.
Well, Travis Hunter's I think he's gonna be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And then quarterback wise, I think Quinn Ewers is,
Yeah.
What's interesting at Texas is like they might have the 2 best quarterbacks in the country on their same roster.
Yeah, they do for
Quinn
sure.
Ewers and Arch Manning.
Did you see Manning at all? Is he from Jersey? Okay, so you did see him. I didn't know he could run.
He's from New Orleans.
Oh, he's okay. I didn't know he could run.
Yeah, he could run.
The Manning passing camp, though, isn't that in Jersey?
No, it's in New Orleans. It's in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. I was way off. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea he could run.
Well, the Mannings I know. Remember, the Mannings are from Louisiana because who played in Louisiana for them? the father, Arch Senior,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Who played back in the 70s, I think, right? Or yeah, I think 70s.
Yes.
Maybe into the early 80s a little bit, but yeah.
Okay,
He played for the remember he's called them the New Orleans Eights, not the Saints.
no, I don't.
No, because you're too young.
that was
So
before my time.
yes, this is before your time, as they say. Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me.
Lucky.
So the Buffalo game is the 28th, and then they have Temple, Wake Forest, Rice, and Georgia State. Wow, and that's it.
That's it.
That's a that's a scary schedule.
Uconn?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like the last month of the season being all on the road. Now UMass really isn't on the road, but Syracuse, UAB, Georgia State apparently is pretty good, right?
Okay. They're pretty good. I thought they were average.
They're 2-1. I for some reason I thought they went to a bowl game last year, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean they beat Vanderbilt. They beat University of Tennessee Chattanooga, and they played Georgia Tech 30. They lost 35-12.
Okay.
And they beat, who was this school? Oh, Utah State. They beat Utah State. So I mean, that's not bad. I mean, they got smoked by, I don't know, that's Utah State. They 1, 2, 3. They're 3-2. They're 3-2. So I think that's definitely good. That's good for them. And it's not going to be easy. So they really have to, like, these 5 games are pivotal to determining their season. And we talked about FAU, Buffalo, must wins. Temple has to be a must win. Wake is probably going to be a toss up. They beat Rice last year, but Rice is always good. Georgia State isn't the gimme that I had thought they were. And then I just wanted to look at UAB and see what they were doing. UAB they're also 3-2, but they had a barn burner against UMass. They also smoked Merrimack, and I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. They're 2-3. They're 2-3. They beat Temple. And they beat Alcorn State. They lost to Arkansas in a tough. I mean, they lost 37-27. Louisiana Monroe, they lost 32-6. And then they beat Alcorn 41-3 and Temple 34-24. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I like that they're home for 5 games, but if they don't take advantage of the situation and get those pivotal wins, they're not going to get to 6. They just got to get to 6 right now. And take it 1 week at a time, as a coach. One play, one practice, 1 week at a time, and go from there. And that's how they'll build success. I just don't like the offense. That's the only thing that bothers me. Well, the defense bothers me too, but the offense I don't like, just because I don't know how it will function in the colder, windy weather of Rentschler Field. If you're in the gun, you're doing RPOs and all that stuff. They don't do a ton of screen. They don't have a huge screen game. They try to do some wide receiver screens here and there. It's like I had an offensive coordinator who didn't really care about tendencies. And anytime we would throw a bubble, he would throw it from under center. Because
Right.
he wouldn't throw it out of the gun. He says it's too hard of a throw out of the gun. So he'd always tag inside zone with bubble. And everyone knew we were doing it. So it would be out of the dead tight end with 3 receivers. And if he had the numbers, he would throw the bubble. If he didn't, he'd hand it off. And then he never did play action out of the gun, which drove me nuts. We always did play action under center because he wanted the hardball play action, which is great if you run the ball up from under center.
Right.
Which we didn't do a lot of.
How come you didn't do any play action from a gun?
He didn't like the timing of it, and he didn't think that you got the linebackers to step up enough out of the gun. He said he liked keeping. We always would keep. We kept 7 in. We would keep 7 in. The tight end in the back would stay in, and he liked a long, hard play action fake and take deep shots. That's why he did it. He felt that it sucked up the linebackers. He felt that if you did it out of the gun, they could react faster and recognize that it was a pass. So that was why he did it. But yeah, I argue with him all the time about that. Because you got to break tendencies. Everyone studies your tendencies. You type the information in the computer, and you know the fronts, the coverages. That's why I watched I told you about the Connor Stallions documentary. Did you watch that yet or no?
Yeah, I did watch the Connor Stallions documentary. I thought it was great.
I thought it was great too. I thought it was great too. I thought it was great how he was able to. He is right to an extent. If teams now have unlimited coaching staffs,
right?
So if you take 5 guys and you put them to look at the signals, you can decipher who's live, who's the guy that's live, I think. Right. And he was smart enough. He's a high IQ guy. He was smart enough to figure it out. And then now I do think he's a bit of a lunatic because he put the spreadsheet together with him doing pictures of all the signals and what they stood for.
Genius.
Yeah, I mean, he's a madman. And he got smoked as a defensive coordinator in his first outing, which was hilarious. It was on the cover. It was on USA Today. I thought that was crazy to do that to him. But I get it, man. If you're a young kid and you want to be a college football coach, and that's your dream, and he obviously wasn't a superstar athlete.
Right.
Unless you hitch your wagon to the right train, it's very difficult to have that upward mobility. Unless you're with a coach who I got a comment from Cologne, Germany, where I played. Someone that remembers me. Wow. Unless you hit your wagon to the right train, you're going to be stuck. And the high money jobs are obviously the Power 5 conferences and, the Patriot League, the coordinators may make 6 figures. Position coaches don't. The head coaches make, a couple $100,000. So there's so much pressure to move up, find the right coach, stick with him, become his guy, and go. I didn't even know. Did you coach at the college level? No. Yeah, it's interesting. It's very interesting. You muted yourself.
What was your take from coaching college all those years?
If you want my take, I
Yeah,
used
I
to
want your
call
take on it. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
used to call I used to call it I used to call it like it's like being on a pirate ship, meaning you sleep with one eye open because you never know who's going to backstab you, who's going to come after you.
Really?
Yes, I called it being on the pirate ship because our head coach was a maniac. Tom Gilmore. He was
Very successful.
He was, and then he wasn't for a long
Oh,
time.
okay, okay.
Yeah. No, he was when he was DC at Lehigh. They did very well. He was a DC at Columbia. They did very well. He came on at Holy Cross. They did well for 5 years, I think. And then as soon as I got there, the curse of Cully, the wheels fall off.
The wheels fell off.
The wheels fall off. Yeah, I think we had 2 or 3 winning seasons. Yeah, it was just because the Patriot League went to scholarship recruiting. Okay.
Right.
And you got a bunch of guys who don't know how to recruit scholarships.
Ah.
And what was hilarious would be, Coach, we want to offer this guy. And Coach Gilmore would be like, well, what if he says yes? We would be like, that's great. Then we're done.
Then we're done.
But we're like, but he's like, well, what if the guy that you have ranked number 1 on the board or 2 on the board says yes? What do we do? And it's like, well, we're offering him because we obviously think he's capable of helping us. The guys who are listed number 1 and number 2 have a million offers, and our chances of them, we're listing them, but our chances of getting them are slim to none. So if number 5 on the board says he wants to commit, you take it.
Right.
You know, and he attributed handing out scholarships to them committing and worrying about somebody better showing up and not having a spot for them. So I don't know. That's why I don't know how they do it now. And you probably do with high school recruits and the transfer portal. Like, do they have a set that they manage for scholarships strictly for high school kids? And then do they have a set that they keep open for the portal, or is that dependent on who transfers?
Yeah, I think that's the part of the issue is like how they manage that process. So they might keep some aside. They most likely keep a good amount aside for transfer portal now.
Yeah.
So they may not go and offer guys just because they think they're good. They may wait for transfer portal, or they may not take a commitment. So that's the other thing that's changed dramatically is that.
Oh, I know.
Let's say I'm interested in going to your school, and I have an offer, and then I try to commit. Even if it was a committable offer, they may not take your commit.
Yeah, and that's what bothered me near the end was
the ethics of all of it.
We recruit a kid for a while and they'd commit, and then there were times where we would take the commitment, and then a month later somebody else would become available and we would back out of the commitment because it's all verbal, it's non-binding. And there was a really a situation like I've never experienced. An offensive lineman who was committed to us for months, literally, probably 6 months. The kid was committed to us. He was, I can't remember the school, but it was in Massachusetts. It was a prep school.
Right.
He got a call the night before signing day from Boston College, and that was his dream school. And they offered him a scholarship, and he accepted. So the problem was what we would do at Holy Cross is anyone who committed early, we would make them apply early decision to lock them in because it's binding.
Right.
So this kid did that. He applied early decision. He was accepted. It was all good to go. And then BC comes in and offers him. So now, we were talking as a staff. The head coach is furious. He doesn't want to let him out of his commitment. The kids all know about it. And, the kids don't obviously want to play with someone who doesn't want to be there. And the coaches, we talked about it. It was half and half. I was like, just let the kid go. Like, he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be here.
Right.
And if he does come here, what are you going to get out of him? He's a lineman. You're going to redshirt him. He's going to transfer anyway. So I just said, let him go. So we made the decision to let him go, but unfortunately it didn't come down. Like, we had no pull in the situation at all, because it's between the universities and early decision and protecting that. And they didn't want to set a precedent of letting kids out of early decision applications. If they get accepted, they're in and they're coming. So the kid was forced to sit out a year. He sat out a full year because of it, because he wanted to go to BC, and he was forced to sit out because admissions would not, let him go on the early decision.
Yeah, see, that's always that's the tough thing. So, like, at Holy Cross, you have that battle between admissions and what the coaches want. But I think more and more that probably gets on the same page if you have the commitment. But it's a never ending thing. So you think you have a player changes his mind, school changes their mind, everybody changes their mind. Then you go down the board. You have to take the chance of offering guys. And then again, if a guy that's way higher on your board for some reason decides he wants to come to you, then you're in that situation where you have to tell someone who's committed to you that
hey, good luck.
Or good. It's a crazy, crazy quandary. You know what I mean? Like, and some guys won't get into that mix. Some guys will just say, "Hey, if a guy lower on my board commits to me, that's it." You know what I mean? So
no, because I was talking to Lenny about it because Brock,
right,
and because he's a little bit later to the recruiting process,
right.
And I said, listen, he wants HYP, Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Well, everyone in the country wants that. I said, you have to call the coaches and have the tough conversation, because I know he had a great game this past week. Like,
phenomenal
you
game.
talked about, the 200 yards and all that, to knock someone off the board. I said, all right, if these are the schools that he's interested in, he doesn't want, I mentioned Colgate, I mentioned Lehigh, I mentioned Lafayette, I mentioned Albany, I mentioned just Holy Cross, the schools that I have contacts at.
Right.
He doesn't want any of them. I said, then you have to call the Yale coach, the Harvard coach, the Princeton coach. You have to find out, okay, because the signing date is in December, official visits are starting now, and the Ivies start later than everyone. So they're bringing kids up on officials. If you need to find out if they're planning on offering him an official visit, you need to find out where he is on their board, and you need to find out if they have any plans for him for this year's class. And if they don't, then we can put together a strategy of prep schools and PG. And I agree, I think he mentioned the Hun school wanted him to reclassify and be a junior and redo his junior year. And I think that's a great idea. I understand that kids don't see it that way. But I think that would have helped them tremendously. I don't know who they had ahead of them last year and why. Him. I mean, was it a situation where they just had a better kid, or he just didn't?
No, I just no. Where he was at? No, I mean he's a great player. They just had another kid that was really good. I mean, it's the top tier program.
Yeah.
And they utilized him. He was like a hammer,
Yeah.
And
do you know where he ended up?
He's, I think, a lacrosse player. I think he went to Navy maybe for lacrosse.
Oh, so, wow. Okay. So that's why I was telling Lenny, like, and he found out yesterday about it. And he said, we got to start looking at some PGs. And I said, that's fine. I said, let's do it. I said, it's no problem. Yeah. I said, absolutely. I think that's what's best.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's multiples. If he keeps playing the way he is, he's going to have opportunities depending on what opportunities are available, right? So that's the biggest thing. We won't know if because that's the whole thing. Like this guy commits here, that guy commits there. A spot opens up, a spot's gone. These are all things that
the December signing date and the transfer portal having 2 separate periods. I think it's smart to cut it down to 1 because, I mean, if you have a max exodus after spring practice, that really puts you in a bind.
Yes. And everybody has a mass exodus, though. That's the thing. Everybody has a mass exodus every year. So it's really managing who you're going to bring on and when you're going to bring them on and your roster. It's all roster management. I mean,
that's why they have the GMs now, you think?
Yeah, it's recruiting and roster management. So that's the crazy part about it all. So that's the hard part.
Yeah, I agree.
Recruiting and roster management. And then obviously the coaching is the next aspect of it all. But like coaching, like, is different. I think it's very different. Now, I don't, coaches may be coming out of it a little more from a recruiting standpoint because of
it's a lot.
But it is a lot. You're right. It is a lot. Yeah. I mean, it could be a lot. It could be an absolute lot.
Because right. I mean, look at Uconn. I mean, I never in a million years would have expected 60 new players to come in 1 year. Like right. That just blows my mind. Like I would never have predicted that at our school.
Right.
We were, 20 scholarships. We developed kids. We redshirted them. We didn't live off the portal, and I understand the portal has its purpose. But the kids that are like transferring 2 and 3 times, it's teaching them bad lessons. It's teaching them if, you don't get your way, go somewhere else instead of trying to work through it and overcome that adversity. And it builds character.
That's the that's the part that's tricky now. That's the tricky part.
Well, because of the money being thrown around, I understand that. And if you have an opportunity to have life-changing money, sure, I get it. I get that. That's a different story. But if you're...
I think there is a lot of life-changing money getting thrown
there
out.
Is. Oh, my God. There's a ton of
things. So because there is a lot of life-changing money being thrown around, I think that they're in a situation where these coaches, like, the good thing is they're trying to get them out of this whole thing. They're out of this whole thing where they are managing dollars and offering guys dollars and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's not on the coaches, right?
Right. So it's they're trying to get that. That's why you have the separate collectives. You have the the whole separate things, right? So it becomes a thing where they have to figure out, who. There's different people involved. It's very, very. I'll say this: it's very, very difficult because there's so many parties involved.
Yeah.
That
even at Uconn, there's like 3 different collectives.
Right. So who's giving the money to who? Why are they giving the money to them? How much are we giving to them? What do we expect from it? What is the deal there? That those are all real legitimate things, and it's there's
unregulated.
There's no parameters like in the NFL, right? So now you get a situation where that's just, I don't know, ongoing. And it's a never-ending cycle. That's the biggest thing. Like, even though they have 2 points of time when they could transfer, it's a never-ending cycle with respect to recruiting. Recruiting never ends. It never ends.
Never.
And that's what's crazy. Like, that legitimately never ends.
That's what I was telling Lenny. I'm like, Lenny, they're on 2026. They're on 2025, 2026 prospects already.
Right. I mean, right on. Right.
Most people are done for 2025. I mean, it's just the way it is in this new era. When you, because I know you were a famous sports agent and riding around.
Not famous at all.
Drew, yes, you were riding around with Drew Rosenhaus and
Drew Rosenhaus took my clients. I didn't keep clients if I had Drew Rosenhaus. He took my clients. He snagged it right up.
But you really, like, you need an agent as a high school kid to navigate this. Like, what are your
offers? That's the thing that's definitely changed. Okay, is that there is
because I'm sure people come to you and ask you about it.
They don't really ask me about it. There are people that they can go to. So, you know what I'm saying? There are people that they can go to. And that part is a little more difficult from that standpoint. There are people they can go to that are what you call like NILH. Now, there are people, Drew Rosenhaus also, depending on your state, Drew Rosenhaus can be your agent. You know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah. Yes. So it's
huge.
It's a difficult process. It's a process that they're all trying to navigate. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is on it.
Well, would you do that? Like, if a kid came to you with their parents and said, "Listen,
I don't want to be part of it,"
you wouldn't want to get involved.
Nope.
Yeah, because it seems like it's backroom money, dirty deals.
There's probably there's plenty of money in it. If that's
not a lot of up. Yeah, I know. No, I know.
There is. That's an industry, but it's. I was an NFL agent. And we had parameters, and there were no parameters. So, you know what I'm saying? So it became a thing where I just.
There were parameters, but there were no parameters.
That's correct.
Well, but back then, though, that was more of you couldn't have contact with a player during their season if you were an agent, correct?
You could have contact.
But you not yourself. Like, wouldn't you have to have like a runner or a middleman do it? Like, you personally couldn't call a kid. Wasn't that illegal?
There was a time period. Yes, there was a window of time that you had to wait till.
Okay.
But like, what was it? You couldn't. I can't remember the exact rule now. It's been a while. So, but you could recruit them. Like, you couldn't. I don't think you could give them money yet or something like that.
Yes, that's true. Yes, you could not give them money. Yes.
That
is true.
So I think that part of it changed, but I can't remember. There was a lot of enticements. I remember that. So I don't know if like with NAL, there's really no rule with respect to that.
No,
So
and that's why I wholeheartedly think that they have to regulate it. And I think I can't remember if it was you or somebody else who said if they try to regulate it, there's going to be lawsuits and it'll go to, Congress or the Supreme Court and the kids will win. Because it's a monopoly. And
right.
but like you're looking at this money, and is it going to be feasible for Georgia to raise $30 million every year for recruiting? Like I mean, at some of these schools, I mean, that's the money that's going in to bring these kids in. Like the $10 million a year for a quarterback.
I know.
I mean, I don't think that's feasible. I mean, UConn broke their back to raise a couple $1 million, and that was like pulling teeth.
Right.
Like I can't imagine the Georgias and the Floridas and them like pulling in Texas. You're gonna
That's why there's haves and have-nots, right? There's
yeah,
haves
of
and
course,
have-nots for that exact reason, because you can only afford to do so much, right? Every team has limitations, and the
and
big
then
schools have no limitations. So that's the part that's very hard, and I don't know that
Title IX too.
what.
Title IX. I mean,
Yeah, so I don't
there's
know. Yeah, that's a good question of how that all works
there's
with it.
no rule that the females have to get paid a certain percentage.
So I
Like
guess, yeah. No, so well, I wonder about that. Yeah, I guess Title IX does not come into play there. Maybe I don't know.
it doesn't. It does from everything I've heard. It doesn't.
Okay,
From everything I've heard, it doesn't because
Title IX
you're
may
on
just
your own.
extend to the fact that they have to have equal number of scholarship opportunities,
Correct,
but
but
not
not
necessarily.
money.
Yeah,
But not money. But not money. But that's why. Like I didn't know I think I mentioned this to you. The Uconn track program was in danger of being cut
it
completely.
is.
It was right after COVID, and they stepped up within a week and ran.
And who raised for them? Hello, Mr. Cully, I lost you. I was curious who actually raised it for them, because that's interesting. That the program was almost cut at UConn track and field, and they had to raise the money. So I'm curious about that, because that's an interesting situation. Um, it is really, I'm curious how much the deal with Title IX and how that will play a role in the future, because right now it's the Wild West. I don't think Title IX applies, but I wonder if some point if it will actually apply. And I don't know that it will. Oh, I think we lost Steve here. Oh, we did. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to wrap the show up here, because I think we talked a lot about, and we will get to it in the future. It's another great show. Like we told, my predictions, I predict you guys going to win this game 28 to 21. 28-21 is my prediction. I'm curious if Steve, I do want to see if we can wait, because I want to see if we can get Steve's prediction on the score here. But 28-21, I think UConn will be victorious in this game coming up. And then hopefully this will end up being a run for them, giving them the opportunity to really go to the next level and capitalize on opportunity to get to a bowl game, which would be fantastic. Really, really fantastic. And hopefully that will get them to that certain spot. But I think that, UConn has to be able to run the ball. They've got to be able to throw in spots. And if the quarterback struggles, they may have to go to Fagano. But they've got to be able to run both the quarterback and the running back, dominate the line of scrimmage, be able to get pressure on the quarterback, Florida Atlantic, because he's not a great passer, and be able to stop their run. To do that, they're going to win the game. Until next time, we'll see you on the Husky Talk and the Uconn preview. See you all.